all of the problems from these videos can be downloaded from accountingworkbook.com. Go to the website, click the PDF link, and you can download a copy of the workbook for yourself. Also on the website, you'll find all of my accounting videos, not just the ones I upload to YouTube. In fact, on the website, there are over 100 extra videos that I haven't uploaded to YouTube. So I do hope you'll check out accountingworkbook.com. Okay, let's get started with the problem. All right, let's examine problem 8.7a, a cash budget. So up to this point, we've done a lot of budgets, and I've actually went to great pains in a few of the budgets to say, hey, we're really interested in how much cash we're spending in this area. So it's not enough to compute, say, selling and admin expense. Let's compute cash paid for selling and admin. Well, when we total up all of those cash receipts, probably from our schedule of cash collections, and we total up all those cash disbursements, we can prepare something called a cash budget. And this to me is like one of the, if not the most important budgets. It's the one that tells us if we're going to run out of money, and if we're going to run out of money, we either need to change our plans or we need to prepare to borrow money from the bank. So in this question, we'll be preparing to borrow money from the bank. But in real life, maybe the bank isn't there for us. Maybe the bank isn't going to lend us any money. And it looks like on our budget, we're going to run out of money. What do? We need to change plans, right? We got to come up with something new. And so that's the situation we would be in. And that's why the cash budget is so important, because it can tell you ahead of time if you're going to be out of business. So let's do it. Cookie Crunchers had the following estimated cash flows for the first quarter, and there's some cash receipts and cash disbursements. Fair enough. The company begins the year with $20,000 in cash and requires a minimum cash balance of 10 grand. So they don't feel comfortable if they don't have 10 grand in the bank in case something goes wrong, right? They want to have a $10,000 cash balance, kind of a buffer. That might seem big to you or I, but probably that's not that big for a company. The company may borrow any amount from the local bank at an annual interest rate of 6%. The borrowing must occur at the beginning of any month, and all repayments must be made at the end of any month. Interest must be repaid at the time of the loan repayment. In good form, do the cash budget. Okay, so our company name is Cookie Crunchers. I'm a cookie cruncher myself. The name of the budget is Cash Budget. And this is for the quarter ended March the 31st. 31 days in March, I should know that. So we've got January, February, March, and of course the quarter to worry about. So our starting point for this budget is just cash balance at the beginning of the month. So how much cash did we have at the beginning of January? It says the company began the year with 20 grand in cash. That's how much we had at the beginning of January. $20,000 of cash. I don't know what we began February with. We won't know it until we complete January, so let's complete January. What happened to us in January? Well, we had some cash receipts. That's cash coming in. How much cash came in? 50 grand. Subtotal here, 70 grand. And we had some cash disbursements, cash going out. How much cash was disbursed? How much cash was spent? 80 grand. Okay, so I don't need to tell you this is a bad situation, right? We're in the hole $10,000. So how much cash available do we have? Well, we actually have a shortfall of $10,000. Okay, well, what do we do about it? We're not done. We're not dead as a company. Why not? Because we got the bank. The bank's going to lend us some money. So the bank section we just call the financing section of our cash budget. And under financing, we can do borrowing or repaying. And we're going to have to do borrowing here. So let's just note borrowing, repayments, and interest. And I'll note these are principal, repayments, and interest. So those are really the categories of financing, but we're going to use borrowing at this moment. How much are we going to borrow? Well, it tells us that we require a minimum cash balance of $10,000, right? We need a minimum cash balance of 10 grand. So if I'm in the hole 10 grand, I'm at negative $10,000 right now. How do I get myself to positive 10,000? I borrow $20,000 from the bank. I'm not going to make any payments or pay any interest today. This is, again, cash paid. So I borrow $20,000 from the bank. Negative 10 plus 20 means, maybe I should just note total financing. My total financing here is 20 grand. And then my cash balance at the end of the month, if I borrowed 20 grand, my cash balance at the end of the month would be $10,000. Let's go up to February. February, we start with $10,000, is what we ended January with. And what happens in February? Well, I have some cash receipts. How much do I receive? $140. Bringing me up to $150 in total. Cash disbursements were $90 in February, bringing me back down to 60 grand. Now, in February, I certainly have more than enough money. I have $60,000 in cash available. I also have this $20,000 debt. I should probably repay it. So let's pay back. We're not going to borrow any money. Let's pay back the $20,000. Here is the trickiest step of this question. We got to figure out the interest, how much interest there's going to be. Well, let's see. $20,000 was the amount we borrowed. 6% is the interest rate. So that's $1,200 in interest per year. But we didn't borrow the money for the year. How long did we borrow it for? Well, let's see. It says the borrowing must occur at the beginning of any month. So the beginning, and we borrowed in January. If I were to set a date to that, I would say we borrowed on January 1st, and repayments must be made at the end of the month. So if we're going to repay, and we're repaying here in February, it must be at the end of February. So January 1st to the end of February, which is February 28th, that's 2 months. So it's $1,200 a year, but we only borrowed for 2 of the 12 months of the year. So 1,200 times 2 out of 12 months is actually just $200. So our interest that we're going to pay on this debt is $200 of interest. So our interest is $200. The total financing then is negative $20,200. So we had 60 grand. We've paid back 20,000 plus 200 of interest. We only have 39,800 to spend now. Okay, up to the next section, March. We had 39,800. Let's see our cash in and out. Cash in is 90 grand, cash out is 100. So 90,000 comes in, bringing us to 129,800. Cash out is 100,000, bringing us down to 29,800. Now, I have 29,800. I have no debt because I borrowed 20. I paid back 20. I don't need any debt. So, in fact, my financing here is going to be nothing. I'm not going to do any financing. So, my ending cash balance here is going to be $29,800. Okay. So where do we sit for the quarter? What was our cash balance at the beginning of the quarter? Well, this is going to resemble some of the earlier problems we did where we said, oh, the balance at the beginning of a quarter is the balance at the beginning of January. And the balance at the end of a quarter is the balance at the end of the last month of the quarter. So we're just going to kind of keep that in mind as we fill in our answer. So the beginning balance here was 20,000 because that's what we started the quarter with. Our cash receipts for the quarter, 50 plus 90 plus 140 are 280,000, bringing us up to 300 available. our cash paid out, 270, bringing us down to 30 available. Our totals for borrowing, we borrowed 20,000, we repaid 20,000, and we repaid $200. So our overall financing, we basically went up by 20, down by 20, and down by 200. Overall, we're down by 200. 30,000 minus 200 is 29,800, and that's exactly where we expected to be, right? We expected these two numbers to match, and they did. So at this point, we have prepared a good cash budget. We've demonstrated how borrowing might work for this company. Again, it's not perfectly a realistic problem, but it's a pretty reasonable problem for you to have to tackle. All right, that's it for our cash budget. You can stay tuned for our next video.